What's up, guys? It's Cooper Carter here for G66, and in this week's Fractal Friday, I'm going to show you a couple of very quick tricks to improve your direct acoustic guitar tone with the FX3, FM9, or FM3. So I am a huge fan of acoustic guitar. I started playing very, very young, and it was years and years before I ever really picked up an electric guitar at all. So to me, there's really very few things in the world that beat a beautifully mic'd up, mixed, recorded acoustic guitar tone on an album, or just playing an acoustic guitar in a room, alone without any sort of amplification. There's something very natural and just really organic about it. Now, of course, we don't always have the luxury as players of having a quiet recording environment, a bunch of mics, a good mixing board, and all of the things that can go into really capturing an incredible acoustic guitar tone in a studio controlled environment. Whether you're in a studio and don't have ideal sound conditions, or you're playing live where there's a lot of noise on stage and from the crowd, a lot of times you'll need to turn to a pickup. Now on this Taylor 710 CE, I actually have a pickup that has a pickup and a microphone and this Fishman prefix onboard blender, but for the purposes of this demo, I've gone ahead and pushed the blend all the way up to pickup on here, so you're not hearing any microphone, which I think will probably more closely resemble a lot of the pickups you guys might have on your guitars. Now, some guys have used, and I have used in the past, tone matching and IRs made of tone matches from acoustic guitars to great effect, but because that's only a tech that's available in the FX3, I'm going to show you tricks that only use blocks that are available in the 3, the FM9, and the FM3. All right, so here we are in Axe Edit, and I've started by just routing the input to the output. So all you're hearing is the direct signal of my pickup. Again, I'm not using any of the internal mic. You're just hearing the pickup in this guitar, and it sounds like this off the bat. So not bad, but not particularly exciting either. So let's do a couple of things to beef it up. Now, a lot of people live would be using something like a Avalon rack mount preamp to beef up their acoustic tone. So I'm gonna add an amp block, and we're going to use the tube pre-type here. I'm not gonna change a whole lot. It's already gonna make my tone pretty nice. I'm just gonna do a little bit of a mid bump here. Maybe a little bit more. And then I'm gonna go into this input EQ, and I'm gonna crank this low cut up to around 50 Hertz, maybe somewhere between 50 and 60. And what that's gonna do is just shave off some of that low end thump you get from hitting an acoustic down on the strings right there. So now we've got this. And already we're starting to get a little bit of that warmth that we would get from running an acoustic through a tube preamplifier. Now the next step is to add an EQ. I'm gonna add a graphic equalizer in here, and I'm gonna go ahead and select the 10-band constant Q, and I'm gonna set my master Q to around 0.2. And now if you're a student of my masterclass series, or you've watched some of my 60-second sound videos, you'll recognize a very common trick that I use for dialing in tones, which is using a looper so that I don't have to constantly play while I'm tweaking something like an EQ that has 10 different bands. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and record a little bit of acoustic guitar here. Now we can start our looper and start dialing in our equalizer. One of the first things I want to do is take care of the mid-range, which I'm really not a huge fan of. So I'm going to hit play. So I'm liking the tone of that a lot better. Now we've lost a little bit of volume because I took so much out of the mids, but we're gonna take care of that in a minute. The next block I wanna add is a multi-band compressor. Now this is something you find very commonly used in studios during mastering, but we have this available to us in Fractal units. So it's one of the blocks that I like to employ the most because it can really make your tone sound a whole heck of a lot like the tone on a mastered record. And I'll just hit play on our looper and you can hear what happens when I turn it on even with default values. A lot more body right off the bat. Bringing that mid up a bit more. So what I'll do is just copy this scene to scene 2, and I'll go up to scene 2 and bypass everything that we've done so we can hear the before and after. Let's start the loop. So we've introduced a good bit more life to the tone. It's not as narrow, it's not as direct and kind of sterile sounding. It's just a bit broader, a bit livelier, a little bit more sparkle, and just more pleasing overall. Now, we're not quite to where you'd get with mics and everything and in a good room, but we're gonna take care of a little bit of that with some time-based effects. The first thing I'm gonna do is just add a reverb block. Who doesn't like reverb? Of course, it's way more fun to play with some reverb on. I am a huge fan of the rich hall reverb in the FX and the FM9 and the FM3. I've got it on ultra high quality here because we've got plenty of CPU and it's on 20% mix. So let's just hear what that sounds like right off the bat. Probably a little bit more than I would want. So what I'm gonna do is just take this time down, maybe to 2.5 and the mix down to about 15%. Let's go ahead and add a delay now. What I'm gonna do is bypass the reverb so we can really hear what this delay is doing. I'm not using this as a delay that you really hear. It's gonna be something more that you feel. And this is to broaden the acoustic guitar a little bit. I'm gonna put this on 33 milliseconds. I'm gonna set our mix to around 25%. And so here it is without it. And here it is with it. So almost like a slap back, but it's such a short delay time that really what you're getting is just a little bit more body to the sound. One of the things we can also try that gives a similar effect to this is just to use a chorus block. Now, of course, at its default values, this is going to be a really extreme effect. It's like super, super chorus. It's pretty. Doesn't exactly sound like your standard run up the middle acoustic guitar though. So what I'm going to do is take this depth down to about 10% and take the mix to say 25%. And now what we're doing is kind of just adding a little bit of body to the acoustic. Now we may want to use both of these together, or you may want to pick one. But both of them are there to thicken up your sound. One of the other things we can do is use an enhancer block. And I'm just going to leave it at its defaults here on the modern enhancer. Here's the guitar without the enhancer. And here it is with it on, very wide stereo soundscape. Now again, I probably wouldn't use all three of these at the same time. It's going to sound pretty affected. But in a live scenario, you may want to have that much width happening with the acoustic. It can be a cool effect and it could work really well in a mix. That's up to you and your ears. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn on our delay and our reverb. And here is our before raw direct tone out of my pickup. And here's our resulting tone after just a couple of tweaks. So I hope this video has given you guys a couple ideas and maybe a couple areas to explore on just beefing up your direct acoustic electric pickup tone. Because again, the very best pickups are still just kind of stand-ins for those ideal conditions, namely a really nice quiet recording studio with hopefully a great room sound, some really great mics, a good pre, a good mixing board, all of these things that we use to approximate and get close to on a record that incredible experience of just sitting alone in a room playing acoustic guitar, which I really think is one of the purest experiences we can have as guitarists. So I hope this video has answered for you also the question I get all the time, which is, can I use the Axe FX3 with my acoustic? And I think the answer to that obviously is yes. Not only can you, but you should. I think the most underlooked feature of the Axe FX3 and the FM9 and the FM3, other than maybe using it for bass, is using it for acoustic guitar. I have used the Axe FX3 on a lot of tours. I've put it on a lot of tours and said, let's run the acoustic through this. And at first people are surprised. They've got other gear that they're using for their acoustics. But once we plug into a Fractal product, it becomes clear very quickly that there are so many options for shaping a pickup acoustic guitar tone that very quickly becomes the go-to for not only electric guitars, but the acoustics as well. So for more videos like this, please check back here at G66 every Friday for Fractal Friday. And if you want more tips and tricks like the ones you've seen in this video, please do check out classes.coopercarter.com for my full Fractal Audio Masterclass series.